Watch Lucy Hale do Lucy Hale things in F, Marry, Kill, directed by Laura Murphy and written by 3 people. Remember that. Put it in the front of your mind so I can refer to it in just a little bit. But yes, Lucy Hale, who apparently has the de-aging gene because she looks the absolute same like she did a number of years ago. And that's a good thing. It'll help her carry on in Hollywood, even if she's doing roles like this. Like when she was in Truth or Dare or Fantasy Island. I like Lucy Hale because she seems very personable and approachable when it comes to interviews and actually does have a bright, funny energy to her and can be good for horror. She just hasn't had the best goddamn track record. There is Pretty Little Liars, which I've seen a little bit of. But nevertheless, Lucy Hale, actually pretty good. Probably should get a new agent so she doesn't take on roles like in F, Marry, Kill. Am I indicating to you how I felt about F, Marry, Kill? I paid about $8 after taxes to watch this on Amazon. I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, okay, this looks to be a fun little whodunit with some slasher rom-com elements, even if the movie is basically just taking and carving and, filleting heaps and chunks off of other slashers that did a whole lot better. And while this film attempts to have the romantic part of the rom-com thing be the forefront, that doesn't really work, nor does it have the com part. None of this is funny. The 3 writers, quite frankly, should be painted with a scarlet letter for embarrassing the horror gods. They have that? Well, they fucking should. Am I indicating that I hated F, Marry, Kill enough? No, I don't think I am, but let me talk about the rest of the cast. Virginia Gardner plays Kelly, one of her friends, and actually basically the story of this is Ava, or Eva, however you want to say it, played by Lucy Hale, is dealing with a bad breakup after 8 months. It turns out that her now ex, Jake, is engaged to somebody that is on the police force with him, and she is still very upset about that. She gave a lot of years to Jake, but hasn't wanted to get back into the dating pool. And all of her friends in her inner circle, including her sister Valerie, played by the incredibly attractive Brooke Nevin, who I'll take her, defending me. I'll just say that much. This basically ends up just going right into the swipe right killer deal, where, let's just say somebody is targeting women that are on dating apps, and I'm just going to say right now, the killer is so fucking goddamn obvious. They don't even try for any twist. They try to make it where, okay, it could be any of these 3 guys. If you can't tell from the moment that they have a meeting early on, and a scene early on with a bunch of characters, who the goddamn killer is by the behavior of one particular character, then you need to get out more. You can take this as entertainment if you want, but the key word there is entertainment. Entertainment cannot be found in this goddamn movie. While everybody tries, everybody seems to have been having a good time filming it, and the film really is just fluff and popcorn and candy, and it is just junk food as far as filmmaking goes. It's also a waste of a fairly decent concept that could have been good if there was any talent in the writer's room. I'm not saying the writers are awful people. They just don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's very buzzwordy. It is very attempting to be hip, while it seems like that the movie just broke a hip and is trying to drag itself to the goddamn door because it's fallen and it can't get up. None of the kills are any good because you don't really get to see all that much. I do want to shout out Shaughnessy O'Brien, very beautiful redhead who is the first victim. Sorry, she is. She doesn't make it very long. There is one of the guys, an old high school classmate or middle school classmate, Jedediah Goodacre. That is a great goddamn name. One of the friends I do want to shout, Bethany Brown. She's cute. I wouldn't mind seeing her in more stuff because she actually has some good scenes too. But I was like, oh, okay. Hello, hi, where have you been? And Virginia Gardner actually is really good as well. She just isn't allowed to be anything more than a caricature. And unfortunately, that's all this movie is full of, is caricatures and parodies of movies that have done, that have been done a whole lot better. It's all been done before. And also the phone graphics, the text graphics and stuff like that. Oh, they switch from F to Marry to Kill and all this stuff and give all the, the details or whatever, like it's a goddamn Metal Gear Solid game. I don't know. This just didn't work for me. It was simultaneously trying to stay busy while going absolutely nowhere. It's on Amazon for a few bucks if you want to check it out. I'm going to get a spoilers though. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. So, early on, there is talk among the friend group. There's also a character named Anthony that I think that character I would have actually rather actually followed that character around for a bit because at least they seemed interesting. They also seem to have been from a completely different movie. But Kelly is a very close friend of Ava's and talks about, it's a little bit like too forceful sometimes with some of the stuff she says. Also, Valerie is a very, very protective older sister that ended up having a one night stand that turned into marriage because now she has a bunch of kids and stuff like that. But Robin, Bethany Brown, encourages Ava to get back on these dating sites, so she does the swipe right stuff. And Lucy Hale does meet a few guys. There's Mitch, there's Norman. Mitch is a bar owner and seems like a nice guy, but also he doesn't have any fingerprints. A kitchen accident. Norman does security installation, once again the forensics. And then there's Kyle, who's a veterinarian and seems to have a bit of a weird past. So it could be any of these three guys. It's not. And I'll tell you who it is here in just a little bit. Who talks like this is what I noted several times on my notes. Nobody. That's who. Because nobody would talk in buzzwordy shit like this, and that's the thing. This is an attempt by writers to make people hip. Yes, we all talk silly. I'm 44 years old and I talk really goddamn silly. Because I'm white and I'm weird and that's just how I am. But nobody in real life would talk like these people talk. And yes, I want escapism, but I also don't want to be insulted by terrible goddamn writing. Once again, fucking terrible writing. Laura Murphy is a competent enough director. I don't even fault her. I think this is just, one of the first big projects that she's actually had, or at least something that's been featured on a major platform. I may have to check out more of her stuff just to see. This does feel very much like a first-time, big project production, even though it's not really. It's done in a few locations, but there's a few stars. And again, everybody seems to be having a good time, but there's nothing to this. There's Ava that basically ends up, falling for Mitch, has really, really good sex and everything, and meets Kyle, and Kyle's kind of he used to, be kind of nerdy in school, so was she. Dates aren't going all that well. I do have to say also that even though Lucy Hale is very personable and very likable, her character isn't likable. I didn't really care if she lived or died in this. And Valerie also put a tracking app on her phone. And then we see other stuff happening at this dinner. Kelly is talking about how she wants, Ava to give Kyle a chance. All this stuff because they knew him in high school or knew him in school. And Valerie points out about the scarred fingertips, a scarred fingerprint, like no fingers, or no fingerprints like Mitch had. Could be him. Norman installs her security system. Could be him. Kelly keeps, being a little bit forceful about Kyle. Hint, hint. And then they decide to do this. We're going to Cinderella this bitch. Was an actual line. They're going to look at shoe sizes because a shoe print was left. Could they be size 10s? Two of the guys have size 10s. She finds a heel at Norman's house. Could Norman possibly be the killer? No. Norman actually has a sister that's in a wheelchair, but that was because of a home invasion where the sister was left partially paralyzed, and all this stuff's going on. I did like the scene with Lucy Hale and Bethany Brown, at least trying to stake out the house and everything. I thought, okay, there's at least an attempt to have some comedy here. I thought Bethany Brown did okay there. But the thing is for every little crumb of positivity, this movie immediately stamps it out with terrible writing and terrible dialogue. Kyle's not very good with pets, I do want to say. Also, Kyle gives up very creepy vibes. There's a guy that chases, Ava at one point to give her AirPod back. Oh, those things are expensive. Not all guys, but, but some guys. Nobody talks like this. And it's not funny. So, Kelly also is a bit too obsessive. Hint, hint. Also, during a time where, where Kelly talks about, Kelly has basically, helped Ava because Eva lost her mother. She works for her, does photography. And Kelly is married to a guy named Brad. And during a run-in at a bar, basically Brad mentions about, they're on a bit of a break. Something happened. They're on a bit of a break. He hasn't handled it all that well. And, but Kelly didn't mention that. Gee, I wonder why she wouldn't mention that weird detail. But nevertheless, don't worry. Don't worry. We get to the bottom of this eventually. There's a woman that is named Tara that eventually, pretty soon after dies. That actress doesn't really get much of a chance to say anything. She does say, be careful. That's right after going, Ava at Norman's house. And Valerie basically has her own killer report going over all this stuff. She's even got this, the strings connected to all this stuff. And you have the meme with the guy doing stuff like this. And I don't remember what show that's from, but nevertheless. Kyle sends her an apology video while she is trying to basically talk to her ex Jake about, getting evidence and stuff like that about who the killers could be. Mitch ends up basically saying he just wants to be seen as a cool guy, but he does really like her. I mean, to be fair, Lucy Hale, you definitely would want to wife up somebody like Lucy Hale. I mean, in all seriousness, wife up. I am so goddamn unhip. It is unbelievable. But her friends are suddenly not answering their phones after she gets evidence from Norman's house, scanned and stuff like that, but the evidence ends up coming back clean. She ends up going to Kyle's place because Norman installed all the security. She tells him off, and then she goes to Kyle's place, and Kyle's a little bit weird and a little bit silly, and lets her take a bath. So at least we get to see Lucy Hale without pants. That's a good thing. But he takes her phone, and oh no, Kyle's the goddamn killer. And then suddenly somebody shows up and stabs him in the goddamn back, and oh my god, it's Kelly. Kelly came here to save her. No, she didn't. Kelly's the killer. Why is Kelly the killer? Because she saw Brad cheating with Chauncey O'Brien. I don't even know what her character name was, but I don't care. She's a redhead and beautiful. But that being said, she decided that all men are the same, and all women are the same, and all these women deserve to die because she's psycho, because why not? Here's the thing. I would have found this funny. I would have found this interesting, except by that point, I was totally checked out. Also, I totally called it was Kelly as the killer, the way she was acting, the way she was trying to push about Kyle, that Kyle had all this stuff about him, that this stuff was going on. He had certain things in his past, or maybe that was just, maybe that was just, a red goddamn herring, because Kelly was the killer doing all this, etc., because she saw her husband cheating. And then we get Kelly getting stabbed in the back with a shoe. Oh yes, and by the way, one of the overlying themes of this whole thing was a killer-themed podcast, which I have to say was really super goddamn annoying because it really didn't lend anything to the goddamn plot at all. Everybody referenced that they'd listened to this podcast and everything, but the podcast doesn't factor into anything except having a bunch of narration and, exposition about these killings that are happening, and none of it ties into the story at all. It's all just, it's so loosely, it sucks. I can't even come up with a cogent simile. So, she sees Norman. She apologizes to Norman. Maybe they're going to get together. Mitch has totally disappeared out of the goddamn thing. Kyle's dead. And then she's on the podcast with two actors that I'm sure mean well, but boy, that was super annoying. And then a collect call from somewhere in Colorado. Oh my god, it's Kelly. Are we going to get F, Marry, Kill 2 Electric? Why'd we do the first one, Boogaloo? I hope not. I really hope not. This is terrible. I hate it. Even though I think that Laura Murphy tried. The writing from the three people, maybe they all took turns getting drunk, and then they wrote this in a really dumb stupor, as opposed to a really smart stupor. A waste of the actual talent, though. Bethany Brown may have to check out more stuff that she's in. That being said, it gets an F. Boy, does it ever. That actually should have been a better joke than it was. Let me ask you guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ricklin. I'll see you soon.